Hey, I'm Ryan Shackelford, and I'm a creative game designer on Strife, and I'm going to introduce you guys to the crafting system. So in Strife, I guess before I introduce the crafting, I should explain how the item system works. So in Strife, every item is composed of what are called component items. Component items are like your basic stats. So in Strife, those basic stats are health, health regeneration, mana regeneration, power, and attack speed. So when you build an item, you actually first buy these components and then you combine them together to finish the item. So as an example, let's say I've got an item called Frosted Shard. And what this item does is when I attack someone, it causes my basic attacks to slow them. So that's really what I care about. However, to build up that item, I have to first buy the components that make it up. So let's say I need to buy a health component, and then I need to buy a power component, and maybe an attack speed component. And that might be well and good on most characters, but what happens when I'm playing a character and I don't really care about that health component? Maybe I really want to play as a glass cannon, and I'm not really intending to ever get hit by the enemy. So instead, I'd rather put a 2 power components and an attack speed component in. Crafting allows you to do that. So as you play the game, you're going to accumulate what's called ore, and ore is a commodity that you use to craft. You take that ore, you go into the forge, and then you choose which recipe you want to craft. So we'll say in this case, I want to craft Frosted Shard. I take that Frosted Shard and I just look at the basic default components and I say, all right, get rid of that health component. I want to put an additional power component. Hit the craft button, and I now have this crafted item. And now when I go into a game, I can bring that crafted item in, and then I can build the item that way in that game. You can only bring up to a certain amount. It's not set right now, but right now we're doing 4 items into a game. That might change in the future. So, you know, on different characters, you might want to bring in different crafted items. Maybe on one character, you care more about health. On another character, you care more about mana, etc., etc. And what this really allows us to do is not only does the player get a lot more customization out of the item system, but it also allows the item system to pertain to a larger variety of heroes. Because a lot of times a hero doesn't want to buy an item simply because of the base stats that go into it. You know, a lot of times I might not want to buy an item simply because it has a mana component in it. I'm playing a hero that doesn't really need a lot of excess mana, so all of a sudden that item is off the list for me. The crafting system allows me to kind of take my experience and say, all right, no, I like the effect this item gives, I'm going to swap out this component. On top of this basic customization, when you craft an item, let's say you have an item that you actually like the default component list for it, but you just want to be able to make it stronger. So whenever you craft an item, there's a chance that you'll actually re-roll the stats on it and make it a little bit better. Now this won't be like game breaking, but it's enough to make you kind of get attached to that item. So going back to the Frosted Shard example, you might have a chance to roll up to a 22% slow on it versus maybe the default is 20% slow. On top of that, you can roll what's called a rare effect. The rare effect comes from a pool of effects that any item can get. So rare effects are common stats that are a little bit more unique than the basic stats. So the rare effect stat might be like Lifesteal or Spell Vamp and stuff like that. On top of that, every item in the game has for launch has a single legendary effect. And this is an effect that you have a chance to get that is specific to that item. So let's say, for example, for an item called Assassin's Shroud, maybe the legendary effect for that item is when I come out of a shrouded effect, I have a guaranteed crit. And again, all these effects are not they're not the major part of the item, but it's enough to get you attached to the item and feel like you're progressing in the system outside of the game.